What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, here's a question that has been asked several times over. And I've answered it the same way every time. But I'm going to narrow it down to just one person. Because there was talks at one point about Jared Anderson being the next great Black American heavyweight. And in terms of just the next great American heavyweight, well, like I've said before, I don't see any. The potential, nothing. I don't see any of them. Now, when you look at Jared Anderson, he was undefeated. He had some knockouts that looked impressive on his record, but he just lacked having, knocking out quality opponents, fighting quality opponents. And basically, when you look at it and people say he's a disappointment, well, let's just really look at it. What did you guys see in Jared Anderson that made you think that he would be the next great American heavyweight? Now, when you think about it, right, the criticism that he received was not stepping up in competition. But he says he wants to step up in competition, but the promoters are not giving him the top competition. But he himself always would say, it's whatever. I'll fight whoever. I don't care. There's nobody particular I want to fight as anybody. I want to fight everybody. I don't care who it is. And he kept saying he's not in any rush. For a title shot, he don't really care about a title shot. He wanted to fight no more than 2-3 years tops, and like boxing isn't everything. And that he doesn't need a title to validate himself. He doesn't need a title to be validated. He basically doesn't care about being the champion. It doesn't mean anything to him. He said, he looked at, Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia fight, as like an example of how you don't even have to be champion. And he talked about how, you had Regis Prograde, you had, Devin Haney fighting for undisputed, and it didn't even do close to the numbers that, what Ryan and Tank did, and all these other fighters that might have been title fights, but nobody's really talking about them. Example, look at Lamont Roach. He has a title right now. And people are acting like Tank isn't fighting for a title. So we've gotten to a point where it goes to show you where there's so many casuals in boxing that don't even know that they're casuals. Because if they're saying in terms of namesake, he should fight this guy. Well, you see how I told you, when Lomachenko walked away from the fight, all these little crybabies did was set up here and made excuses about, well, what about, I forget what about when, whatever. Right now. Let's go right now. And when Lomachenko decides to walk away, they want to bring up the past. And in the past, Lomachenko himself, remember I played the clip for you guys. I showed it. I showed you the clip. Fight Tank for what? Money? Money isn't everything. Right. So even he didn't want to fight Tank. So at the same time, all of the little flip-flopping, petty, this era of people right now, young and old, are very immature and just completely ignorant. And they hold on to petty shit. They really do. This is exactly one of the reasons why men and women can't get along. Y'all the type of people that you'll argue about something and then hug, shake on it, whatever. 3 months later, you get into an argument and bring the shit back up. Like, so you never really was over it. You understand? And this is like just petty shit, and you become a joke. And it's like, you know what? Pack your shit and get the fuck out. This is exactly that childish, sissy-ass mentality that I'm talking about. So when you look at all of that, okay, case in point, people don't care about fighting for championships. They don't care about their legacy. They only hold certain fighters to those standards. But they make excuses for other fighters. So, example, this guy right here can be undisputed, whooping ass, top of the heap. This guy over here, no championship belt, nothing, but he's famous because of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. And talks a lot of shit. and does a lot of outlandish shit inside and outside of boxing. That's where the popularity comes from. So with that being said, there's a very strong imbalance in boxing. And it just means much of nothing that the very best fight the best. Like I said, only certain fighters are held to certain standards. Yet other people get to play storyline, silly antics, and all types of nonsense. Now, Jared Anderson, when you listen to him talk, he basically was telling us all, and I did videos about it, I'm really not the next great American heavyweight. I don't even care to stay in the sport to become champion. I don't care about legacy. All I'm concerned about is making money. So when you start getting punched in your ribs real hard, getting punched in your jaw real hard, right? And you start swinging back, and all of a sudden your opponent just won't let up, won't stop, and going to keep coming. Now you start thinking, man, is it worth it? Damn, I didn't sign up for all this. I thought the guy was going to go down. This motherfucker, he's still coming. He still want to fight. Like, damn. And guys like that will quit. Now, against Bukoli, he got stopped. He fought very stupidly. He did not fight the right strategy at all. And I'm seeing a lot of one-dimensional nonsense in boxing where guys who are even at the top end up fighting very amateur-like. And we know that the training system isn't the same. You know, people are more, they're more interested in training these high-level training facilities, spending thousands of dollars, you know, a session and all this kind of stuff. But you know what's so crazy? Without all of that high-tech equipment, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, these guys are going 15 rounds. These guys are struggling to do 12. Yeah. So without all of that high-tech shit, look at what they were doing back in the day. So everything now is just like, it's for show. So when you look at Jared Anderson, he was never committed to the sport of boxing. Someone who don't care about their own legacy, who don't care to be champion, who don't care to be top dog, but somehow expect to make top dollar. So maybe when he would come out dressed like the pimp, all the different outfits or whatever, maybe he was, you know, obviously doing something that he felt like would catch on, something that he get known for, and think his character would take off, and, you know, all of a sudden he's the next big thing. And, you know, with Deontay Wilder pretty much on his way out, then you have nobody else, really. Deontay's already out as far as I'm concerned. But you know what I'm saying, still in the sport. But like Deontay showing that he couldn't compete with the top dudes when he got in there with the top dudes. Who you have left? You know, who do you have left? We know Jermaine Franklin, he's a good, you know, he has some talent, but Jermaine Franklin isn't that guy. Michael Hunter isn't that guy. So who do you have? You know, Kenzie Morrison, he's not that guy. And he basically, I think he's fighting on this bridgerweight, you know, campaigning as a bridgerweight. These are guys that was trying to get into fights. He's a guy that was trying to get into a fight with Jake Paul. I mean, so when you look at all of that, it's like, who do we point to? Jared Anderson. The people saw more potential in Jared Anderson than he saw in himself. The people were the ones saying he's the next guy. And I always questioned it because I just said, I don't see Jared Anderson. I can't put him in I don't put any fight in a category. You earn to be in that category. So I don't just take a guy and put you there. Now, there's guys who have the potential, and they might not have had those signature fights yet, but you see the potential. With Jared Anderson, I remember his first real step-up fight being with Charles Martin. And he took some licks in that fight. And yeah, Charles Martin is more experienced, but Charles Martin is washed. And Anderson got hit with some shots that he shouldn't have got hit with. And that got my attention about him, because going forward, for him to get hit with those shots by Charles Martin's slow ass, you know, and the fact that he couldn't get Charles Martin out of there, I just said, yeah, you know what? Like, it was one of those things where you watch, and I'm taking notes, and then he had that last fight before Bacoli with the guy that was a bridgerweight, whatever, cruiserweight, bridgerweight. That you know, it still don't even feel right saying bridgerweight. To be honest with you, like I just don't see the purpose of it. I understand it, but I don't see the purpose of it because there's no such thing as a super heavyweight division. And you take a guy like Deontay, he would be a bridgerweight now. I mean, it's just stupid. It just makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. Okay, for that, you know, back to Jared Anderson, for that to be the case with him, of not feeling like he needed to be champ to be validated, for him to think he's going to make top dollar as a heavyweight, because people always say the heavyweight division is the backbone of boxing. Way back when it was. Now you got a few people here and there sprinkled around, but for him to not feel the need to do that and to understand that the money that you're making is hardworking people money, man. And people are paying to come to your fights or buy your pay-per-views or whatever. So for that, and, you know, for you to get in there and not dedicate yourself to the sport and put yourself in a position so you can become the best fighter that you can, and you can walk away from this sport with a lot of money. You know, he basically not just told himself, he told all of us. You know, what if something happens to me, man? And, you know, my daughter, who she got then and stuff like that. And I get what he's saying, but why did you choose boxing then? Why didn't you choose a rap career? Why didn't you choose a career or something where you don't have to get physical punishment? Because at the end of the day, boxing, people got to understand, you know, once again, boxing is something, any combat sport is something you have to really want to do, man. Because for you to take less punishment because you are that great of a fighter is what you're going to find. A lot of guys turn to boxing to stay off the streets, to keep from getting in trouble. And it's all they had. So they fought with everything that they had. And a lot of them still ended their careers broke and brain damage. He talked real confident, real cocky, real arrogant about where he stands up into the Bacoli fight. Since the Bacoli loss, you haven't heard anything from him. The only thing I saw was a tweet. You type anything, Jared Anderson, right now, everything stems back for 3 months ago. Nothing current, nothing new. So case in point, what I'm saying with Jared Anderson is he never called himself the next great American heavyweight. People called him that. And people expected that out of him. And even though he said what he said, people were still going, hogwash. He's the next guy. So now when they're saying he's a disappointment, my point is, if you think he's a disappointment now, you should have thought that when he first told you he don't want to box no more than 2-3 years. He don't care about being champion, and he don't see the point in sticking around longer than that. Okay, that's that man's choice. And this is why I said, who's going to want to really book him? You know, and he's talking like that. So to try to get him in a big money fight, a big time fight, put it like that, like and let's see what he's made of. And he failed miserably. So he may find that, guess what, boxing don't need you, but you might need boxing. And whatever else he has lined up outside of boxing, hey, man, more power to him. But Jared Anderson was never that guy. He was never that guy. And regardless to how much you, as a fan, want to see someone be the next Muhammad Ali, the next Evander Holyfield, the next Mike Tyson, the next Sugar Ray Leonard, the next Roy Jones, it doesn't matter. These guys have to want it. Now, you know when I say that, I'm just saying as an example, because I don't believe in any next Muhammad Ali or next Michael Jordan. Everybody is who they are. But you know what I'm saying. For you to come in and be in that same sentence with those type of people, you know, you can't come into this talking about, I don't plan on fighting no more than 2 or 3 years. And for that to be the case, I'm willing to bet you he don't want a rematch with Martin Bacoli. So then who's next then? What's next? You know, what are they going to say? Well, they realize they bit off more than they can chew and they're going to move him slower. And what's he going to do for the next 2 years now? Just fight nothing but low-level competition and retire? Like, for what? Save yourself the wear and tear on your body and go find something else to do. He can't even use his name right now to go into a hip hop album or something, he would get clowned. Every rapper would have something to say about it. They'd be putting clips and making memes of him getting knocked out by Bacoli. So, whatever it is that he chooses to do, it can't be any hip hop type of thing. So I don't know what else he has, what else he wants to do. I'm going to tell y'all this though. I think one of his biggest problems is immaturity. It's like he lacks maturity. He really, people don't understand immaturity. You can take a guy that can be 35 years old and act like a big ass kid. You can take a 22-year-old and he can be more intelligent, more mature than that 35-year-old. He is one of those guys that he just has like a lot of, he just has, even like when he had the police chasing him. Y'all saw when the police was talking, say, damn it. Oh man, like the way a kid acts when a kid does something stupid. Not speaking like a grown ass adult. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times what I'm saying is your decision making. When you're immature, nobody can tell you anything. He gives me that vibe, like no matter what you say to him, he's going to do what he wants to do. Cool. He seems like the kind of person that has to learn everything the hard way. Like in his mind, he just thinks if I want something, I should have that. Or if I don't want it, then that shouldn't happen to me. Okay. And he's going to find the world doesn't wait for you. You have to keep up. So you have to play catch up. And I think what he doesn't really, who knows what he's thinking since the loss, but it's obvious he wasn't really understanding. Like, nobody wants to invest in someone that basically they're not even sure about what they want to do. You know what I mean? Put yourself in the position, if you were dating a female, right? And she, you ask her, what is it that you want to do with me? Like, what are you looking for? And she says, well, I'm not looking for nothing serious, nothing. I just want to have some fun and, we can play here and there and stuff like that, but I don't want to settle down. Well, if you want to settle down, then either you're going to understand what she's telling you, right? And then say, hey, okay, cool, I want to play too. Or you're going to walk away because that's not what you want. Now, the worst thing you can do is pull a Jared Anderson. Like, she's telling you she just want to play. Somehow, in your mind, nah. You're not supposed to want to just play. You're supposed to want to settle down with me, right? No, she told you what she wanted already. That's on you. So when Jared Anderson is telling us he doesn't see the point in sticking around, having a long boxing career, that's not for him. That's not what he wants, and he doesn't care about winning championships. All he cares about, he's flat out said, all I care about is the money. So he was never the next great American heavyweight. In terms of him being a disappointment, like I said, well, if that's the case, then that would be when he said those words. Because then that explains also why, like, even for him to say that the promoters wasn't giving him the right fights, maybe they saw in him the same thing I saw, is that I'm just not sure about how good he is. And then, see, because what happens when you see potential, right? Let's think about when before Roy Jones fought against James Toney. I remember he fought Bernard Hopkins before that. He hurt his hand, pretty much fought Bernard with one hand all night. But he won the fight, unanimous decision. But before he fought James Toney, right? People had questions about Roy. But you could see the talent in Roy. This is what I'm saying. You saw what, like, though, this dude is solid. Just like how I see Jerron Boots in it, the dude is solid. I don't care about the haters and the naysayers. I can see the talent in him. You see the talent, is what I'm saying, in Ray Leonard. You saw the talent in Roy Jones. You saw the talent, in Jerron Boots Ennis. And not to mention, you talking guys that was, well, we know Roy got robbed in the Olympics. We know his story, But what I'm saying with a guy like Jared Anderson is, okay, you see potential. But you don't look at him and think that he's the next one. And in terms of people just looking to put that title on someone as the next great American heavyweight, well, was it ever him? No. Now, in terms of people wanting to say it was him, yeah. But was it really, realistically, ever Jarrett? Nope, it was never Jarrett. It was never Jarrett. People were just looking for someone to put that title on. But there's, it's still nobody there right now. And for Jarrett Anderson, what could have been and what he may have been able to accomplish due to him dedicating himself and really learning and honing his skills, I mean, it's easy to say what he could have done. But that's just the thing. It's just like someone, like, if you're not athletic, and then all of a sudden you see guys playing basketball, and then I want to learn how to play basketball, and I want to, not that you can't learn to play and get good, but you're not going to be able to compete athletically with these guys. But there's other things you're going to have to, you're going to have to master, but you're going to have to understand, okay, I can't jump as high as these guys. I'm not as fast as these guys. So, you know what? I'm going to work on shooting, but passing and stealing is going to be my thing. You understand? It got to be something else that you're good at. Otherwise, you just can't compete. So if you're out there trying to compete with a bunch of super athletic guys and like really athletic guys and you're not, what are you out there for, right? Okay. And if you're telling yourself you don't want to be world champion, how the fuck are you going to beat someone that does want to be world champion, that's not accepting a loss, that refused to, like, you going to have to beat my brains out because I'm not going to give up, the ref going to have to stop it or whatever, but I'm going to keep coming. How are you going to beat somebody like that? When they keep coming and then you hoping that they quit, but they won't, then you end up quitting. So, yeah, it was never Jarrett Anderson, y'all. And like I said, if and when that time comes around, then it comes around. But it's just not what it, understand something, right? And somebody said this to me the other day. They said, damn, Aries, you was right, too. And they said, when you said Wilder was protected, and like you look at his career, you're not going to think about, like, that you could look at Ali and say he had Liston, Frazier, Foreman, Norton, Chevalo, he had all these different fighters, but when you look at Wilder's career, all they going to really talk about is him and Fury. That's it. And second, him and Ortiz. Ain't nobody talking about nothing else with him. The most you might get as a third is the way he knocked out Bermane Stiverne in the rematch. But the fights itself, to say he had classic fights and he just had, no, he doesn't have that. That's why, too, when you look and say, well, look at his knockout ratio, right? Look at Mike Tyson's knockout ratio. Well, who do you think had the more impressive career? Deontay Wilder or Mike Tyson? Who you think had the more impressive career? Deontay Wilder or Evander Holyfield? Who you think had the more impressive career? Deontay Wilder or Riddick Bowe? And I'm only using them as examples because they were later, after Ali and all of them. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, his career can't even compare in terms of knockouts, win streak, yeah. But now you start looking, okay, but who did he fight? Who did he win against? That's where you got to look at it. Nobody's talking about Deontay Wilder's career. They only talk about him and Fury. And they don't even talk about him and Ortiz. I'm saying that would be the second when you think about his career and say, damn, that's it. Because he had 2 fights with him. But you look at everybody else, nobody's talking about Deontay Wilder fights, man. They're not looking at his career going, yo, that dude had an amazing career. He did this, he did that. They're looking at numbers on paper. How many knockouts he has, how many first-round knockouts or whatever, however, when you start breaking all that shit down. George Foreman, come on, man. Like, those guys had fights, and you remembered them. So now when you look and say, well, damn, okay, yeah, he told me, he said, yeah, when I looked at it, and this dude was always, but Wilder, I say, listen, stop talking to me, talking my ear to death, trying that. Look, I'm nobody's fan, okay? But at the same time, you keep talking about Wilder like you telling me something about him I don't know. And now he's like, nah, you was right the whole time, though, man. He's like, damn. This is a family member, too. He's like, you was right the whole time, man. He's like, damn. Well, an in-law, but, family. So he goes, you was right the whole time. He's like, man, he was protected. And then I look, and when I watch his fights, I'm like, hey, and I'm looking at these guys that he fought, and I'm like, damn, who the hell did he beat? Like I said, he never beat a top-level guy. So putting all that on Wilder And the fact that he held that belt for like 5 years or whatever, okay. And in 5 years, this is my point. Look at who he fought. You know, and look at who he could have fought and should have fought, but didn't. So now you just might see with these guys getting up in age now, the fights that didn't happen, that should have happened, you might start to get them now when they mean a whole lot less. Just for it to be on their record that, hey, they fought. But, you know, that's about it. So, okay, well, damn. Since Wilder's torch is pretty much down to like a stick match, right? A matchstick. Who can we call the next great heavyweight champion from America? Nobody. There's nobody. So my thing with Jared Anderson, y'all, is, man, don't worry about hating on him and talking about what he could have been. He was never that guy. That's the whole point. I said everything I said to get to that point of that he was never that guy, man. He was never that guy. And even when we compare him to Bacoli, I'm saying, okay, technically, Jared looks like the better boxer. Okay. He put his punches together different. Martin Bacoli is more like, if you watch him, he throws that hook to the head, hook to the body. Right? He loved to do that shit. He throws the punch quick for his size. He has some quickness to his hands, but he's flat-footed. He has no footwork whatsoever. He's just right in front of you to be hit. He will walk you down, but he has to plant his feet to throw anything. But he throw that little slap shot to try to catch you, and he's quick with it. So if you're getting hit by Bacoli and you're not using lateral movement, slipping his shit, and know how to, you know, just saying, you know, there's levels to boxing. And like the way Jared fought him is like, Jared, no, that's the wrong way. Like, what are they telling you in the corner? And he said, my corner was telling me what to do, but I wasn't listening. He admitted that, at least, that, you know, he admitted it. He said that he wasn't listening because he's coming out there and he was doing everything wrong. So when you match them up on paper or looking at what they did to other fighters in the past, we knew that Bacoli has been battle tested. He's been cracked and he can take a punch and he's not scared to get hit. Jared Anderson, we never seen him in a dogfight where he had to like really claw, scratch, and fight blow for blow and like, you know, hey, look, I got to fight. Like, what happens when your boxing isn't working and you have to like fight more than you used to and stuff like that. And we never seen him do that. And that's why I said it's easier to say what somebody can do versus what they're actually showing you. Like, you know, you see the video I did about Tim Zooo, same thing, where Tim Zooo is a puncher, and everybody that was talking about him versus Keith Thurman was pretty much saying they think Keith was going to win because Keith is a better boxer. And when you saw the last fight that Tim Zooo just had, it makes you, you know, the question for me is, can he have a different approach? I think he just needs to approach that opponent differently from the way he did. Now, can he do it? It's easy to say he can. We don't know that. Because one thing about an experienced fighter, your experience doesn't go. See, people speak and they put limitations on you. Like they'll say, but he trained for this fighter. Right. It's a fight-by-fight basis that you train for different fighters. But your experience, okay? Your experience kicks in when you see certain things. It's just like if you know how to fight a southpaw, and all of a sudden this guy switches southpaw. Okay, I know how to fight southpaws. But let me see. I got to gauge his speed, how he measures distance, and you know, how is he working off the jab, his footwork, everything. You know, if a guy decides he wants to swarm you, okay, I fought that style. I know what to do for that. Okay, now the guy's trying to box. So that's my point. Can you switch up, switch it, and do different things? That's what your experience does. Knowing when to back off, when to put the pressure on, when to put everything on the shot, when to just put the jab in front of you, when to use it just as a blinded mechanism to follow up, when to put a stiff jab out. Like, you understand what I mean? When to start putting body work in. You know, all this kind of stuff. Everything. Okay, he's quick. Let me time his shot and cut him, you know. You understand what I mean? Okay, he can't handle my speed. Okay, he can't get away from the right hand. Your experience kicks in, and we didn't see any of that with Tim Zooo. So to say he can do it, we don't know that. That's why you hear me saying, even like with AJ, you know, is AJ able to bounce back? because it's not like physically he's deteriorating. He still got, you know, everything he had. Just here, man. What's up? So we don't know. And the thing is, we've seen Tim Zooo, and he, like, the thing was, he fought that whole fight like, I'm just determined to knock this guy out, and it just didn't work for him. So these are guys that you can at least compare fights that they've already had and see how they reacted. So we seen what Jared Anderson did. So Jared Anderson is not on anybody's radar in terms of, I want to see what he like when he comes back. People don't even care. His own words sabotage his own career. For a man that's saying he only wants to fight 2 more years, does it make any sense? 2, 3 more years. Does it make any sense for him to even continue to fight after that ass whooping if he don't have a change of heart and understand, you know what, I need to dedicate myself and focus? Do you see the point of him fighting? And yet he don't care about money. I mean, he don't care about being a champion. He only cares about money. He doesn't care and doesn't feel like he doesn't need to be champion to be validated in the sport of boxing. I mean, goddamn, even the misfits have champions. So unless he understands and redirects his train of thought, why even have another fight? For what? What's the purpose? You're just gonna fight and then retire, and nobody's gonna even care. Oh, he was still fighting. No, I thought his last fight was with Martin McCauley when he got knocked out, and that's how people will look at him. We haven't heard a peep out of him since then, and I think his immaturity is why he says and does the things that he does. And I feel like until he grows up, he might be one of those guys walk away from the sport, maybe wake up one day and realize, man, I walked away from something that I really could have made a lot of money out of. And you know what? It was my way of thinking. I held myself back. Maybe. Then come back to boxing. And maybe that might happen. But I just feel like he's too immature, man. And I just feel like, of course, there's no dedication, no desire, no passion, no love for the sport. But I just feel like he's just very immature, man. He really doesn't understand what it takes to really make it in boxing. And like I said, he might be one of those late bloomers that may walk away from the sport and come back. I don't see a purpose for him to continue to fight just to retire 2 years from now. I just don't see the point. But, hey, man, that's Jared Anderson. Like I said, he's the guy. And a lot of fight fans, they're great for doing that. Like, people take their own personal thoughts and wishes and put it on someone and say that that person is this and that when that person is not telling you that that's what they are. So, yeah, you know, you got to look at yourself and realize, man, Jared Anderson wasn't there. I had a couple of people talking to me. We were on TikTok the other night. And somebody was, you know, a lot of people was talking in the comments. And I was one of the people talking. One of the guys made a comment about Jared Anderson. And he was saying that Jared going to come back stronger and better than ever. And I'm like, yeah, that's wishful thinking, but we'll see. Personally, one thing about losing to someone is on a personal side of things. I don't care if you're playing Uno. I don't care if you're playing domino. Like, you just want to win. Somebody beat you, you want to win. So for this dude to lose to McCauley like that, if he don't want that McCauley rematch, doesn't say anything about his progression. Anyway, talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hair to people, and I will catch y'all in the next video.